Chad and I decided to take off on Friday since the weather's not looking the greatest for this weekend. And the wind was supposed to be down a little bit until later today, and it's already blowing out of the west pretty good. So it might make a little bit of a choppy run across the bay, but once we get bait, we'll get set up and start fishing. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody that came out to the boat show this last weekend. We really appreciate it. There was a ton of new people that we met and a ton of people that we've met in the past, and we really appreciate that. Looks like we're gonna have a beautiful sunrise. I've seen some lightning in the distance. We might get a little rain this morning, but it's supposed to clear out. Like I said, though, it's a little bit windy. We'll see what we can do. Well, we made it to our bait spot. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was a little choppy, but not horrible. So we're going to get set up and start catching pinfish and whitebait. I've heard a couple of flicks on the water. That's kind of what we look for, that and birds. And we've seen a bunch of pelicans off in the distance. And then I've heard some flicks while we got the anchor set. And we'll kind of go through the progression of what we do to catch bait on the flats. I know we've done it before, but we keep getting asked that question. And right now Chad is putting together the chum.
So the before,
you're gonna need more.
I'm gonna need more water than that, but
so pretty much what we do is we just mix salt water with it and just go from there. We don't use menhaden oil, we don't use jack mackerel like I used to back in the day. That was way back in the day. But this is what we primarily use for bait chum.
so once you get enough water in, you should be able to make a ball, and it should stay in that consistency and form. That's kind of what you're looking for. Otherwise, it's just going to float on the surface and not really perform how you need it.
Now go show them what you do when we first set up on a spot and we get everything ready.
The first thing I do when I get to a spot is I usually go pee. That marks it so that nobody else can use that bait spot. And then I'm going to take the bucket of chum to the back of the boat, and we're going to broadcast it. That's going to put the scent in the water.
That was a little bit much.
You know, got to show it. So we're going to take little pinches, a little bit bigger than a pinch, but not quite a handful, and just let it out.
Actually, he throws a lot more chum out in that spread than I do. I typically use it, to keep it relatively really light, because you don't want to put too much out there, because if you put too much out there, that's where they're going to stay. So what I do is very lightly spread it through the area and then bring it back to the boat, to the back of the boat, and drop it there.
Yeah, but you can't see your little handfuls hit the water. So I did exaggerate, but you got to be able to see it.
Pancake. Bait in the bucket, live well full of bait, live well full of bait, and we are ready to go fishing. So hopefully we can get on the fish today. I don't know, it's tough not being on the water for 2 weeks. Might be a little difficult. You think it'll be difficult, Chad?
Nope.
No? Chad has confidence. What we're doing is we're free lining pinfish to these grouper in about 33 feet of water. The winds picked up quite a bit. The tide started ripping, so we came into an area where the tide's not ripping as bad, and we're able to free line pinfish to them. And I've got my butt handed to me twice and caught one. And the key thing is when you're free lining pinfish like this, you want to make sure that they get down. If they don't go down, that one just came on hook. If they don't go down, they won't get bit. So you got to make sure that that pinfish is going down in the water column, because sometimes they'll swim down and then they'll turn around and come right back up again because they see what's down there. So if they don't get bit and they get real nervous, they'll come to the surface and they won't go back down. In that case, I just throw them in the bucket and we're done with it. What I'm doing is I'm hooking this pinfish right in the tail section because I love to feel that vibration. Just drop them down and hope to God that they go down. This one's going down. He's going straight down quick, so he's probably going to get bit relatively pretty quick. That one just came on hook. Case in point, this pinfish is not going down. He's actually, you can see my line is actually going out this way. So he's actually staying on the surface. He doesn't want to go down. So I'm going to probably have to replace this pinfish, because if they don't want to go down, they're not going to get eaten. Chad's on. Snapper. Really?
Look at the size of that one.
Nice one. Oh yeah. Nice snapper. It's just amazing how hard these fish fight. This is not even a keeper and he about whooped my butt. Get him, Chad. Get him, Chad. Come on, Chad.
Maybe one missed it.
Ooh, it's going to be close. Not bad. Oh! Oh well. Well, we moved out deep because that wind laid down. We broke off on a bunch of grouper shallow, so we decided to come out here, and as soon as the bait's getting to the bottom, boom, we're getting fish on. We're using 1 ounce orange regular jigs, and as soon as it's getting to the bottom, they're on it. We're not even in a major or anything. So what we're doing is we're hooking that pinfish right up through the middle. I know I've said this before, but there's a lot of people that continue to ask us questions that are new to the channel. So if you hear me repeat myself on some certain situations or certain bait techniques or something, that's because I'm getting that question asked quite a bit. So I want to make sure I cover it, because I know some people don't want to go all the way back through the old videos and check out all the old videos. So that's what I try to do, is try to cover the questions that I get asked the most. And that's one of them. As you can see, there's a bunch of fish on the bottom and then some fish up in the upper water column. That's probably mackerel, could be snapper, but that's what it looks like on our Simrad. That's exactly what we're looking for. A good show of fish. Once we get to a spot and start catching fish, they usually will start showing themselves like this. When I'm looking for a spot, I don't normally look for fish. I look for the structure, because most of the time that structure is going to hold fish, not all the time. So like Chad, just within 150 200 yards of this one area, Chad and I have jumped around to 5 different spots before we found the fish. And I'm not sure what it was, but like we get there and catch a couple fish first. I think I had that done. We catch a couple fish first and then they would shut right off. But this one's got a shark on it. And not much you can do when those guys show up. This poor little grouper's been jacked up. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Chad just got busted up. Poor little guy. I was like, hi, how you doing? He looks like he's drunk. A drunk looking redfish type of head. It's weird.
He avoided the shark, but looks like somebody ripped his head apart.
There he is.
Yep.
We are doubled up. We have a shark. It's messing with our fish. Yeah. You can see him on the machine. Stupid shark. Now, Chad is fishing next to me because the edge of the ledge is over to our right hand side of the boat. And one thing that's nice about our Sea Pro is that we have two live wells, one in the front and one in the back. They're both 30 gallons apiece. So instead of having Chad walk all the way around the boat to get his bait, he just walks to that front live well and grabs his bait and he's ready to fish again. That's one of the cool features that I like about this Sea Pro. One of the main ones is the way this boat runs in rough water. I've helped sell quite a few of these here recently because I believe in them so much. What we're doing, we're sitting right on the edge of that ledge as it drops down. We're in 35 feet of water and dropping straight on the ledge. We're parallel with it, so it helps us a little bit to get those fish off the bottom. The only problem we're having is the shark that's down there. It's been kind of following us around this area. Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Tampa Bay Fishing Channel cooking segment. Tonight we're going to cook up some mangrove snapper that we caught today. It was a pretty rough day on the water. The wind was a lot worse than they forecasted. It was raining in the morning when I woke up, so we had a multitude of things going on. We had issues with our breaker on our trolling motor, the wind, there was so much stuff going on. It just was just one of those days, and you know what I'm talking about. But what we're gonna do is we're going to southern fry the snapper. And my wife, of course, who does all the cooking in the house, is going to explain a little bit of what we're gonna do, and then we'll go into it, and then we'll eat. And we also have my grandson here who thinks he's going to be part of this, but he gets camera shy.
Hey guys, long time no see. We need to get this cooking segment back on the road. I've got a handy dandy sous chef with me tonight, Mr. Finn Burnham. He was at the Keys last weekend with his family and they caught snapper right there where you were saying, right? You caught it off, was it a dock or?
There was a bridge next to the boat dock where we rented. There's a bridge. On the left side you couldn't fish, but on the right side there was a bunch of snapper that you could
So you
fish.
caught them from shore. Oh, that's cool.
And from the boat.
And his Uncle Corey made a cornmeal battered fried fish and hush puppies and grits. And Finn just fell in love with it, so he decided to come up here with us for the weekend. And Papa Todd took him fishing. They caught some snapper, and I'm just gonna make up some cornmeal crusted fried snapper just in a cast iron skillet on top of the stove. And I'm gonna also do some hush puppies, which I'm gonna start with the hush puppies so the batter can rest for just a little bit. So we'll get into that now. Okay, I've added in the buttermilk, a little bit of the oil, and the egg, and I'm just gonna whisk them up really quick. How's that look? Looks good? Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. I am using self-rising flour, so I don't need to add any baking soda or baking powder. So I've sifted the flour into the bowl just to give it a little more air. Then I added in the cornmeal, sugar, salt, the white and green onions. Now I'm gonna mix it into the wet ingredients. So now we're gonna get the batter for the fish mixed up, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna sift the flour first, and then I'm gonna add in the rest of the ingredients after that. And then I'm adding the cornmeal. I'm doing like half and half, or equal parts flour to cornmeal, so I'm doing about 1.5 cups of each. And then I'm gonna add some garlic powder, because garlic goes in everything. Some Old Bay seasoning. I like to use the lower sodium ones so that I can add my own salt. And then I'm just adding a touch of salt and pepper. Gonna whisk those all together.
Hey, Nana, is there anything I can help with?
Yes, thanks, Finn. You wanna go get the fish out of the fridge for me? It's in the garage.
Here.
Perfect, thank you, sir. I've taken the fish that Todd brought home today, rinsed it off, made sure it didn't have any pin bones in it, put it on some paper towels to get rid of some of the moisture. Then I salted it and put it in the fridge so it could firm the fish up just a little bit, and it draws out just a little bit more of the moisture. So now we're gonna be ready to batter. You want just a little bit of moisture left in the fish so that the batter sticks. As I put it in the bowl, as you see, I'm flipping it over and I'm kind of pressing it in a little bit. And then I'm just gonna shake off a little bit of the excess and put it on a plate and let it rest for just a couple minutes while I get the oil heated up. I'm gonna start it off at like a medium-high heat, and I'll show you how to test and see if your oil's ready. So I'm just gonna drop a little bit of the batter in, and when you see it bubbling at the top like that, then you know your oil's ready to go.
I'm gonna use that. That's awesome.
Okay, these are gonna go in the oven on warm, and then we're gonna start the hush puppies. Okay, we're ready to drop the hush puppies. Finn, can you hand me that scoop over there, please? All right, the hush puppies are all done. I've got some small ones and some bigger ones. I like them a little smaller, so I just switched my scoop up to the small scoop and finished cooking them. But they've tested out this one of these big ones here, and they said it tastes pretty good. So they're gonna go in the oven, and I'm gonna finish up the dinner.
Okay, let's find out what the food actually tastes like. This is coming from an 8-year-old kid.
It's great.